Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson football channel for your Chelsea news video on this fine Thursday. Right now, I've got the most beautiful view of Green State Mountain, I think it is, or Green Mountain in Vermont. It's absolutely gorgeous. But today, I'm going to be talking to you about the Chelsea news. Of course, that's what you're here for, isn't it? Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not already and smack a like on today's video. We're going to talk first of all about a statement on socials from the co-founder and managing partner at Clearlake Capital, Jose Feliciano. A lot of the times when we talk about the Chelsea ownership, because the front-facing person really has been Todd Boehly, but he only makes up a smaller part of the Chelsea ownership structure, with Clearlake Capital being the majority, with Bedad Eghbali also being a name that we hear a little bit more frequently than Jose Feliciano. But I think it's interesting to have a look at this quote here, and again, this is all positive stuff, so I'm going to read it out and give my thoughts on it. We won the FIFA Club World Cup. Congrats, Chelsea Football Club. Still not a finished product. Very few things are. But after a few years, we're like the great football philosopher with 3 ice cold emojis recently said, everyone's talked a lot of shit about us. It is great to finish this season with 2 trophies, a win against a formidable European champion, and qualification for the Champions League next season. There's absolutely no denying from anybody that Chelsea's end to the season has been fantastic, and I would actually argue pretty damn remarkable, considering what it looked like only a few months ago. If you haven't seen the video yet, where it was the last video or the first video after the match day vlog, where I'm like, look, I've got to address this because I was very, very critical of this ownership, very critical of the sporting directors, and critical of everything going on at the club, because I just couldn't see that we would be able to achieve what we've already achieved. And I was looking not just at the season that we've just finished, but I was looking beyond that season, or beyond this season just gone, and thinking, I don't know if this model's going to work. I don't know if you can just buy a load of young players and have Enzo Maresca as the manager, who, let's be honest, had won the championship, but until he's at Chelsea, hadn't really proven too much. And I was doubtful, but I also wanted to make sure that after the matchday vlog, having celebrated wildly that Chelsea won the Club World Cup, I wanted the praise to be even louder than the criticism was. The ending to Chelsea's season, if it doesn't get you excited for what this team could become, it's not a finished product. And I think that is the most exciting thing here. Resting on our laurels. We're not thinking, well, just because we've gone and won 2 trophies, people can belittle the Conference League and the Club World Cup all they like. We have Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, PSG, just to name a few, in this tournament, and yet Chelsea are the ones with our names etched on the trophy. So this is a phenomenal achievement, and without doubt, it absolutely shows that big progressions have been made at this football club. So everybody deserves to be praised for the results that we've garnered towards the end of this season. So let's go forward and take a look at what else. What we wrote last year still stands. We believe we need to be doing the following: consistently winning or contending for the Premier League and Women's Super League titles, consistently playing in the Champions League and competing for domestic and international cups, consistently competing for titles across the youth age groups, and developing and discovering the next generation of footballing talent for the benefit of the club. Being responsible actors and contributors to our community while meeting financial fair play and other regulatory requirements, earning the trust and confidence of our supporters. Please know that everyone at the club is relentlessly focused on delivering that. Now, I'll say this. It's very important to understand, right? What we're seeing at Chelsea right now hasn't really been done before. PSG have kind of got their own version of that. They got Luis Enrique in charge. They've done incredibly well, but then they got beaten by us in the final, which absolutely, in my eyes, is the biggest moment where trust has been gained by a large portion of the fan base. And as much as it might be difficult for some people to believe, and I find it hard to believe that people think this, but I think a lot of people just purely believe that we couldn't get over not having Roman Abramovich, that George Benson just didn't want Blueco to succeed, which would make absolutely no sense. I'm a Chelsea fan. I love it when we win, and I flipping hate it when we lose. And I think that is pretty damn obvious if you've ever watched this channel after a defeat. And I know that sometimes it can come across as very aggressive, but I'm a passionate fan who cares about this football club and how far we can possibly go. So to actually see these words again, I think it's a great time for Clearlake especially, and anybody associated at the top end of the club, to reaffirm what these goals are. And if you look at this, right, consistently winning or contending for the Premier League, that's exactly what we were looking to do under Roman. And we talk about standards, okay? And I think a lot of people forget that last season we couldn't win the Champions League. We weren't even in it. We couldn't win the Europa League. We weren't even in it. We could have only won the Conference League because that was the competition we were in. And in the Premier League, we did pretty well. We had a big patch in the middle of the season where we fell away, where we crumbled. But all in all, it's an incredibly successful season. Maybe not as successful as, 2012, where we had an FA Cup Champions League double, or yes, we want to be winning the Prem. Considering everything was torn up and it's gone down a completely different path, I'm certainly not going to sit here and just keep on slating something where I've witnessed 2 trophies be won, and we're seeing this summer a squad that absolutely looks more capable going into next season. Without all of the business being done, I'm seeing a squad that I think can be competitive for the Premier League. Not to say that I think the squad building is done. It definitely isn't. I think we still need a few more acquisitions. I think we absolutely need to get rid of some dead wood. But it seems to me as though, from all of the things I'm reading and seeing, I, as a fan, I'm not going to speak for everybody, but you can let me know your thoughts in the comments. I think that in terms of what I think the squad should be for Maresca, I think everything is aligned. We're going to be trying to get rid of players that either were problematic last season in the sense of where do they fit in the system, or players that we've probably bought that we shouldn't have done. And we've been learning on the job. And as much as it's been very frustrating, and at times I've been incredibly loud about that frustration, I also think we're trying to rectify those problems. And I think we're doing everything that we can to stop making the same mistakes so that the future isn't filled with the same errors, which can stunt how quickly we can move forward. I hope all of that makes sense. Excited about the UEFA Champions League, where we belong, and EPL next season. Again, congrats team, #winners, #more goals. I think it's important that I keep reiterating this. Right now, I've got a lot of faith in this team. What I saw at that Club World Cup was fantastic. And it's not just the Club World Cup. It's the end of season form. It's the way that we found this determination. It's the togetherness of the players. And look, you can't go around saying we're all very, very young forever, because players are getting older all the time. Competing at the top level, beating the likes of PSG, that's how you grow as a footballer. Levi Colwill, a player that's been in the academy, so many high hopes, had a little bit of a lulling period in terms of that growth and development, but look at him now. Look at Trevoh Chalobah. Yes, the club made a mistake, and he should have been at Chelsea the whole flipping season. We shouldn't have loaned him out. We should never have looked to sell him. Going to talk about Trev in a minute, but look at the performances across 2 finals from Trevoh Chalobah. Look at how brilliant he's been since we recorded him in January, and this needs to be spoken about. As much as I called out what I thought was wrong, we've rectified it. We've brought Trev back in, and it looks as though, as we move into the first piece of Chelsea news, Trevoh Chalobah might not be for sale this summer, which finally, after window after window after window of just thinking, why is Trev not in the manager's first team plans? Trevoh Chalobah should absolutely be considered as a top centre-half at Chelsea. Yes, there's probably better centre-backs in world football, maybe, but at the same time, this is the most reliable player that Chelsea have had. He's always fit. He's always there, delivering, if not great, good performances, time and time again. And I think when we look at where we need to invest this summer, and we've obviously done videos about it, we've looked at the squad, we've looked at the depth in which we have, and I think we should do that again soon, because after that Club World Cup, I think some of the ideas on positioning and tactical stuff, Maresca-based tactical stuff, has probably changed quite a lot since we've seen the latter stages and the knockout rounds of that tournament, because again, we've seen an adaptability and Enzo Maresca's willingness to change the tactics dependent on the opposition and bring in variance to the way that Chelsea play. Against PSG, it was very much a man-for-man press, everybody aware of where they need to be. And I think if we're going to do that against the more aggressive teams next season, then I think Trev is a very important part of that Chelsea team. So at the minute, it looks as though there isn't any direct pressure, like we've seen in recent years, to get Trevoh Chalobah out of the door as soon as possible. Which for me, I'm absolutely delighted about this. Let's move now into the next Chelsea news story here. Several clubs, and this was late last night from Fabrizio Romano, several clubs have started to move for Nicolas Jackson as his exit from Chelsea remains possible this summer. AC Milan deal currently off, price too high, and no intention to proceed. Premier League clubs making initial approaches. I'm not surprised here that Nicolas Jackson will have multiple potential suitors in the Prem. He's already a goal scorer in the Premier League. You can see when he has a good day in front of goal just how good he can be. Yes, he's a young player, so there's going to be patches and moments in games and various other periods of time where he's not firing, where he's missing big chances. But I'm not going to lie to you, all right? I feel as though this could be another one of those, a bit like what I said about Noni. I don't necessarily mind that we're going to be selling Jackson, if we're selling Jackson, but don't be surprised if he goes somewhere else and absolutely explodes. Now, my thing here with this is if you do get rid of Jackson, I certainly think we need another striker / attacker. And this is where it becomes questionable when we look at the Lexus issues from Fabrizio Romano when he's speaking. He's talking about one more attacker. Now, I don't know about you, but in my mind, I think straight away striker. Because if João Pedro, who has shown in 2 matches that he can definitely play as a number 9, but over the course of his career, he's not necessarily been that out-and-out number 9. Liam Delap's also very raw and very young, as good as I think he is, and again, variance to the Chelsea attack. I just worry here that if we're getting rid of Nicolas Jackson, a player that, yes, he's not scored bucket loads of goals, yes, he's not had that 20-goal season yet, but he has scored frequently for Chelsea in the Premier League, and is great with his movement and all that off-the-ball stuff as well. Are we confident with just João Pedro and Liam Delap up front going into the start of the season if we lose Nicolas Jackson? I think on the left wing, we've got Gittins, who's come in, who we've not really spoken about as much as maybe I'd like to on this channel. We're going to talk about Gittins a bit more in some upcoming tactical videos. Pedro, Cole Palmer, Esteval, Neto. I still think we're going to need at least one more attacker. And the big debate is, right, at the moment, we are still hearing about Garnacho to Chelsea. This one hasn't gone away. And I bring it back to the whole Gittins to Chelsea thing, that since January, that's just been always there, building momentum. Chelsea got it done. And my thoughts on this regarding Nicolas Jackson's exit and Garnacho is I don't think Chelsea are prioritising Garnacho. I think because Garnacho doesn't want to be at United anymore, United don't want Garnacho to be there, I think Chelsea would have swooped in and got this deal done if we were really interested in Garnacho. I think Garnacho is an option because I think Chelsea will wait until the window goes on and see just how cheaply he would be available. Because as much as I've said I don't really want Garnacho, still think there's a potential there that there's a really good player that could at some point, similar to what I'm saying about Madueke, Jackson going out, and I think they could explode, I think Garnacho could do the same. And as much as he's definitely not my first choice, like Morgan Rogers, Rodrigo, Eze, these are players I would much rather have join Chelsea this summer than Alejandro Garnacho. I think we can't rule it out because it's just not going anywhere. Fabrizio Romano has been speaking about it. It's a bee that wants to have a little nibble. What would the price be for Jackson's exit? I don't think Chelsea should be even looking at any offers. Don't even open the flipping emails, mate, for any offers lower than 60 million quid. And again, I think it's a huge decision right now that we need to make as a football club. Madueke gone, Jackson gone, Nkunku Felix likely to go. Yes, we bought in Esteval, Gittins, Pedro, Delap, but we also have lost Sancho and Mudryk too. So it is a completely revamped front line. And I don't think we can look at this season with Champions League football trying to compete for the Premier League and having less available players than we did last season. I don't think that would be the right call, especially with how much football we've played this summer going into a new season, it's going to be tough. The players are going to need rotations. We know that. I think the midfield is absolutely stacked. Goalkeeping position, still questionable. Defence, we still need cover for Marc Cucurella. Maybe another centre-back, but I'm pretty confident with the ones that we've got right now. So for Chelsea, this is going to be a big couple of days, because if Premier League clubs are now moving for Nicolas Jackson, as I said in yesterday's video, the likes of Isak, Liverpool, Ekitike, Liverpool, Newcastle, this is going to force the hand of other clubs. And Aston Villa, Unai Emery has wanted Nicolas Jackson now for quite some time. Aston Villa also want Garnacho, or are interested in Garnacho. Will Aston Villa be able to go for both? And if so, does that mean they need to sell? Which to me would open the door for Chelsea going for Morgan Rogers. And what we've heard is that if Nicolas Jackson is wanted by Aston Villa and Aston Villa were to bid for Nicolas Jackson, Chelsea's immediate reply is to bid for Morgan Rogers. Aston Villa apparently consider Morgan Rogers untouchable. Whatever that means in football these days, I don't believe a word of it. I think if Aston Villa are going to go for Jackson, maybe Garnacho too, Rogers is available. And I think, to be quite honest, that would be my ideal scenario here. If Chelsea do sell flipping Nicolas Jackson and get Morgan Rogers the other way, then I think we've absolutely upgraded the attack. Rogers can also kind of play as that false nine forward. We've seen countless Chelsea players over the course of this Club World Cup able to do so many different roles in that attack. I think it's a very exciting time right now to be a Chelsea fan. But anyway, let me know your thoughts on this today. We've mainly spoken about Trev, Garnacho, Rogers and Nicolas Jackson leaving Chelsea. There's probably going to be loads more news coming out in the next few days. So make sure you are subscribed to GBFC. If you enjoyed this one today, you enjoyed the outside setting. We've got some plants over here. Don't think that's a real one, but it's okay. We've got a lovely old fence behind us as well. If you did enjoy it, smack a like, and I'll see you in the next one. Come on, you Blues.